gem, you just place your djembe in between your legs. Please. In between your legs. Okay? We call this drum a djembe drum. Djembe drum was handmade all the way from the West Africa. Right? It is handmade. Okay? It's very easy to play this beautiful drum. If everyone can just raise one hand. Just raise one hand. Then when you place that one hand on the center of the drum like this, that's the bass. But the tricky part is, if you place it like this and leave your hand on the drum, the sound won't come out. But, so you just need to. Now the sound will come out. Right? That's the tricky part. Right? So now, if I say to you, give me a bass, I ask you to give me a bass. What do you do? Okay. Everyone, please hang on. So that we play in one time all together. Just wait for my colleagues here to show you. So only my colleagues will play now. If I say to you, give me a bass, did you get the counting of give me a bass? No? Okay, only my colleagues will give me a bass. Guys, give me a bass. Now, did you get it? That's it. Only my colleagues again. Guys, give me a bass. Did you get the counting to give me a bass? Now we do it together. Everyone, give me a bass. 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 Okay, now everyone got a bass. So now, with only your four fingers, if you play the edge of your drum, like this, okay? In African music, we call that a tone. Yeah? So if I say, give me a tone, a tone, a tone, a tone, to give us a wide beat. Can you try that? Can you try that? Combine both a bass and a tone to give us a beat. It's very easy. I want you to give me. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice of Napoli and the Whatever I play with my drum, you play after me. Okay? Yeah, let's try this one. Each and every time I stomp my feet, you give me one beat together with the stomp feet. If I stomp twice, you give me 2 beats. Are you ready? Yes. Ladies, are you ready? Yes. If you are ready, ladies, say uh-huh. Are you ready, ladies? Uh-huh. Gentlemen, if you are ready, say yeah, boy. Are you ready, gentlemen? Yeah, boy. Every time I stomp my feet. Same time. Same time. let's try A. A beat. A beat. One beat. One beat. Two beats. Two beats. Four beats. Eight beats. Eight beats. And now let's play together this beat.
One last one. It's not that easy, but it is easy. But it's not that easy. It is easy, but it's not that easy. Okay? It goes like this.
teaches us? It teaches us teamwork. The other thing that drumming teaches us is that, like trading, it looks really easy, right? Everyone thinks they can do it. Until you do it. And then it's really hard, right? The other thing drumming teaches you is that it can actually make a hole in your dress. Or that you can get really calluses, all the drumming. That's a joke. I tell you what isn't funny and what is remarkable. So our executive team have really brought the best people and the greatest entertainment here today, but they also brought the motivation. I'm about to introduce you to someone who will motivate your socks off. If you need a run into 2025 motivated and strong, you're going to really enjoy our next guest. To give you an idea of how remarkable I think she is, this year she had a birthday and we belong on the same group. We happen to be Laureus Sport for Good ambassadors. And on the group I say, oh, I wonder what Sarah's doing for her birthday. And there she is in Indonesia. Now most of us on our birthdays, we have a cake. Yeah. We blow out candles. Sarah's busy climbing a mountain, 4,740 kilometers above sea level. I'm sure she'll tell the story. And the picture is remarkable because that is what she does for a living. I want to give you a little summary of what she's about, and then I'm going to play a video for you because, like I said, if 2024 was a tough year for you or you need more motivation, I really believe that you're going to get it in our next speaker. Sarah Khumalo is an award-winning mountaineer. What makes her remarkable is that, other than the fact that I think she's an honest businesswoman, she's an exceptional leader. She's an author, and she also does coaching to entrepreneurs, executives like our team here today, business professionals like all of us here today, as well as teams all over the world. She's also testament and shows me that we don't need to look at international speakers in order to find motivation. We can find it right here on South African soil. What's great about her is in 2019, on her 4th attempt, Sarah summited Mount Everest and became the first Black woman to summit Mount Everest. I know, right? You know what? Sarah, you are a demonstration of resilience, of miracles. I know that you've really helped many organizations to transform their journeys, and I am really excited to hear what you have to say this evening. But don't take my word for it. In fact, take a look at this.
Meet Sarah Khumalo, the first Black African woman to summit Mount Everest and prove that the sky is not the limit and a summit mindset is key to changing the world. She is no stranger to overcoming obstacles. In her attempt to reach the top of the world, she survived an avalanche and an earthquake during one of the mountain's deadliest seasons. Sarah Khumalo is an award-winning mountaineer, Mandela Library's ambassador, and a business executive in the financial services industry. A pathfinder, courageous and spirited woman, she continues to break records. Sarah is also the first African woman to ski to the South Pole. Passionate about the next generation and unearthing greatness in women, Sarah has used her climbs to feed thousands of children and raised funds towards education. President Ramaphosa honored her and remarked, "She has shown that through courage and perseverance, we can achieve our highest ambitions for the greater good of humanity." Now, Sarah inspires and motivates others to overcome challenges and conquer their own mountains, to reach their business and personal summits. Please welcome international speaker and trailblazer, the 2019 Momentum G Sports Awards winner, Sarah Khumalo.
Thank you so much. Wow, those lights. Ilana, you make this seem easy, and it's not. And after that drumming, I think I'll add to my CV a drummer. I'm going to put this down. Thank you so much for the invitation and for having me join you on this celebratory evening. As the video and Elana has said, I am a mountaineer. One of the things that the video doesn't tell you is that when I started this journey, my website said, I'm just an ordinary African woman trying to reach extraordinary heights. Along the way, I discovered that I am uniquely extraordinary, and being ordinary is a choice. And I say that with all due respect, we are all uniquely extraordinary, born at this time for a specific purpose. We become ordinary and mediocre when we try to do what others are doing, what the neighbors are doing, when we don't live our true purpose. And I want to share my story with you and highlight 3 things specifically: purpose, why. Those of you that have been exposed to Simon Sinek's work, he says, start with your why. If you know why you are doing what you're doing, how to do it, you make a plan. We always say that, you make a plan. And I also want to talk about resilience. A lot of times we look at people and say, Steve Jobs did amazing work. And we look at everyone that we know, they did amazingly well. What we fail to realize is at some point, they stumbled and fell. The reality is they got up and made a plan and moved forward. So it's about resilience. And resilience is not just about grit and let me just move forward. It's also about reflecting on what you've learned from that tumble, from that fall. And I'll share that with you through my journey. And lastly, it's about teamwork. Nobody gets to the top on their own. And I'll share that with you through my 4 Everest attempts. We all need a partner, but not everybody can be our partner. So who is it that we need to go with? Whether it's a partner in terms of persons, partnerships, or strategies that sometimes they worked yesterday and they're not necessarily the strategies that we need to move forward. So how did I get into mountaineering? A few years ago, in 2012, I was going to climb Kilimanjaro as a bucket list item. I don't know if some of you have attempted that. If you haven't, let's talk after this. And we did that, and we raised enough money for a home in Benoni called Kids Heaven. And we decided to use mountaineering because after begging our colleagues to give us donations for the home, you could see that people are tired of giving. So we made a plan and said, we'll climb Kilimanjaro, we'll use it to raise money for Kids Heaven, sell our experience in exchange for funding. People gave us money, we raised enough, built an outdoor gym and converted a room into a library. Although the climb wasn't necessarily easy, when we came back, one of the kids in the home looked at me when we were handing over the library and the outdoor gym and said to me, do you really come from the township? I remember looking at her and laughing and thinking, do black people swim kind of joke. And she looked at me, she says, no, ma'am, people like us don't do things like this. It's exchange students that come from Europe and US. When they come to the home and they leave, they do these things. As a mother of 2 boys, I remember going home and thinking, I could relate to that, a sense of self-disbelief that I too grew up with, watching Wonder Woman and Superman, on TV. They didn't look like me, they didn't talk like me, they were flying around, no one around me flew. So my job was to applaud and say, wow, they are amazing. But through education, travel, I went to the US in '96 and I discovered that coming to America was not very honest. They were not as clever as they made them to be. They were asking me about their friend in Nigeria and I'm thinking, how do I know your friend in Nigeria? So the reality is, everyone around the world has got their own struggle. They're not any better than us because we're out here. And that changed my life. And I made a commitment that I'm going to climb the 7 highest peaks on the 7 continents around the world. Because I love climbing. But I'm not going to just climb and take a selfie. I'm going to climb and raise money for education. that became my mission, became my why. So when I failed to do Everest the first time, I went back because climbing had become a little bit more than just about me. It had become about changing the narrative for the next generation of Africans. And since then, I've built 16 libraries around South Africa. And I say that humbly because when I started, it's not something that I believed that I could do. Something that I thought extraordinary people do and not people like us. And if I'm able to do that, what more can we do if we are intentional with every step that we take in every space that we are in? And so let me go to Everest. I woke up on Everest 2014, my first attempt. And the first thing I realized is that that world that doesn't think that I belong, the world that was asking me, are you sure you're going to the summit? I mean, you've gotten to Everest Base Camp. So how high is the highest mountain in South Africa? It's 3,450. Everest is over 8,000. So how long have you been skiing? I've never skied. So people immediately looked at me and said, maybe you should come after 5 years. And I started feeling that I didn't belong too. And I decided to change my game plan to fit into their plan. I walked faster. I got to Everest Base Camp in the first team. And when I got to Everest Base Camp, I was too tired. And that year, if the summit attempt was going to proceed, there is no way I would have made it. Why? I changed my game plan to prove to people that thought that I didn't belong, that I belonged. I changed how I trained and trained differently between Lukla and Everest Base Camp to make sure that they think or they thought that I belonged there. And I crashed completely and got altitude sickness after getting to Everest Base Camp. In that year, on the 18th of April, unfortunately, a big block of ice fell on the route as we were going. So you go to Everest Base Camp, then you go to Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3. But before you move from one camp to the next, there are these guys called shapers, the guides. They set up the route and they say, okay, it's open, now you can come. On the 18th of April that year, 2014, they say the route is open and they start moving. And unfortunately, a big block of ice falls onto the route and it kills 16 shepherds. Base camp, which is normally, infested with enthusiasm, with people that think they can take on the world, they can do anything that invisible. Everyone became scared. I remember walking into the tent, dining tent, and asking people that made me feel like I didn't belong. The experienced one that grew up in the snow. So what do we do? One of them picked up his bag and left. And I realized immediately that I needed to come up with my own reason why I was there. No one, it was a personal journey. They that were experienced were just as scared as I was. Then survivor's guilt set in. Did they die because I wanted to climb? Did they even want to be here? And I remember a friend sending me a message to say, figure out why you have been spared, and that will inform how best you need to move forward. How many times do we walk around knowing that a friend, a relative, somebody next door didn't make it, and we don't even think about why are we still moving? Are we being intentional with the life that we have? How best do we need to move forward? I came back home because the mountain was closed that year, and that was the first attempt. And everyone said, no, you tried. My kids started Googling and saying, Mom, this thing is dangerous, And I remember going back to Everest in 2015 because I had actually decided that year that I must have been saved for a reason. If I went back, I needed to make sure that I learned something from 2014 that I had to use to go back onto the mountain. That year, I remember looking at how people that were cyclists and runners were much better on the mountain than I was. I became a cyclist and I became a runner. I also questioned, how am I going to actually change the narrative? What can I do in education that will be a lot more impactful? Because I knew that my life then, even now, the next minute is not guaranteed. The sense of agency, crept in. I went back in 2015. In 2015, the biggest lesson for me was ensuring that I had the right partner. Now on Everest, if you go from Lukla where you land to Everest Base Camp, you can have one guide with 10 climbers, one too many, that's okay. But beyond Everest Base Camp, you need to have one guide, one climber. You need to be very particular about the person that you're going with. Can they understand your English? Can you understand them? Because if something goes wrong, you can't afford to waste a second because the glacier will take you. You need to be able to understand them. They understand you. You communicate quickly, act quickly. If you both fall, you get up together. And in that year, I went with Nawang. Unfortunately, in 2015, we're moving on a glacier. So really, it's a river that's frozen. And we're walking, and suddenly the glacier that we are climbing on started cracking, really like shaking and cracking. Nawang, my Sherpa, turns around, hooks his carabiner, so it's like a hook onto mine so that we are attached, and he says to me, Sarah, we are jumping. So the idea was, if the glacier opened, we needed to move on to the same side, because if we moved on opposite side, one of us will pull the other one in. I remember very clearly that moment that all I knew was Nawang had 22 years experience, I wasn't as experienced, and my job was just to watch him and jump. I watched Nawang's feet. It felt like 5 minutes, but I believe it was just about 2 minutes from the reports that we got thereafter. And the glacier stopped. He takes the carabiner out. He says, okay, we are fine. Unfortunately, that earthquake, it was of magnitude 3.8, shook the mountains around us, and they all started avalanching. So the block of rocks from around the mountains, the snow, everything started coming down into the valley where we were walking. And immediately, Nawang, who was confident a minute before, started praying, Om Mani Padme Hum. I don't know if we have any Hindus, you probably recognize that chant. And I remember looking at him and thinking, this dude is praying to a Tibetan god. I'm a Christian. This God of his is not coming from me, it's coming from him. I'm like, Jesus, what's the plan? You know, today I say it and it sounds like a very funny story, but the reality is when the world is shaking around us, when the ground is shaking beneath us, how do we show up as leaders? How do we show up in our families? How do we show up in our businesses, our departments, our communities? How do we show up? And what is the world around us seeing when the world is shaking? So that for me was a big lesson in leadership in terms of how to show up. The mountain was closed. I don't have too much time, so I'm going to rush this. And I came back home to people saying, oh, Shem, you tried. And I decided that I'll go back anyway. 2016, I couldn't afford it. I always blame my boss, not too much bonus. And 2017, I decided I'll go back onto the mountain. 2017, 99 meters from the top, I again went with Nawang because I believe Nawang was more experienced and him and I understood each other very well. And we get 99 meters from the top and the winds change. So there's a few things that you do when you climb Everest. You climb high, you sleep low. That allows you to increase the levels of red blood cells in your body and allows you to breathe and function and actually survive at reduced oxygen. So we go up, we come down, and then we look and say, okay, do we have enough time where the winds are low enough for us to climb and come down? And we say yes, and we start moving. There's 3 of us climbers, everyone with their own Sherpas. We move in the middle of the night. One of the things when I was given the topic for tonight, I think it's stars aligned. The biggest and most mesmerizing thing that I saw on Everest in the death zone is how there's no clouds and you can see the stars and the moon so close as if it's on trees where you can just walk in and pick one. It's just so beautiful and amazing up there. So we're moving and go up all the way up to the south summit, which is 99 meters from the top. And the winds suddenly change. At that level, you're walking on a ridge, really very thin ridge, to the extent that if you don't anchor yourself properly, you can be blown off to Nepal or Tibet. Those of you that know about Everest, it's between the two countries. And I sit down and I look back, none of my teammates are behind. So I said to Nawang, where's everyone else? He says, gone back 2 weeks. And I'm thinking, oh, girl, you're doing all right. Until I looked at Nawang and I see he's struggling too. So I'm thinking, but he's been doing this for over 20 years. Why is he struggling? And he said to me, the weather window is not a good one. So I said, no problem, let's go back. I had additional oxygen. And we'll come back when when the winds have subsided and we still have oxygen, and we start moving down. Now, we're walking between Camp 4 and the summit. This is called the death zone. I don't know if we have any lawyers. The fine print that you sign when you go on Everest, it says, when you die in the death zone, they are not obligated to come and rescue you or come for you, because it will be risking their life. So you have to sign that before you leave. And we coming back in the death zone, something is wrong with my oxygen supply, and at some point I fall and I lose consciousness. Nawang, now this is a bit of hearsay, Nawang can't help me. He just looks and he decides to go and get other shepherds. They come and pick me up, take me to Camp 4, and he leaves me there. Knowing what I know today, he didn't think I would make it, because if you know somebody will make it, you put them in the tent close to you, you make sure you share warmth, you keep checking on them throughout the night, but he left me there. The next morning, I feel people pulling me, and they came with a stretcher, and I wake up and I say, Lakpa, and the guy says, oh, Sarah, you're alive. And I'm thinking, of course I'm alive. Now I'm really upset because I'm hungry. I'm like, I'm alive, but I'm hungry. He says, no, I have no food. He gives me water. And I remember waking up and looking at Everest, so close and yet so far. It was the lowest point in my journey. I think when you start thinking the people that think you can't are right, you are in trouble. You then need all the people that will give you any small belief in yourself, remind you of how amazing you are, capable of making history as an individual you are, for you to get out of that. I came back home, and inside I'd really given up. I stopped asking for funding, but I still trained. And in 2018, my young son, who was 15, came to me and said, Mom, when are you going back to Everest? Not are you going back, when are you going back to Everest? And I remember just saying to him 2020, and in 2019 I went back, did things completely differently. I went back not with a Sherpa because they had been doing it for many years. I went with a qualified guide. I bought my own weather report. I also was part of the strategy. We are going, what time? How much time do we need to get to Camp 1 and so forth. I celebrated getting to Camp 1, celebrated getting to Camp 2. I wasn't just anxious about the summit, but about every step. But I also appreciated why I was there. And on the 16th of May 2019, someone like me was able to step on top of the world. One of the things that happened in that moment, which was very emotional, is me remembering my mother, who always used to say, the sky is the limit, and how wrong she was. I was above the clouds. I believe that we all can step above the clouds because we have unlimited potential. I want to leave you with the last paragraph of my book. It says, my journey to the top of the world. I end with good luck. Every one of us has his or her own personal mountain to climb. It might not be Everest, and it might not be a physical mountain. Yours might be in the boardroom, on a bicycle, in your family, at school, even in the health of your own body. The reality is there's always something that we need to achieve, something big and difficult and meaningful. Whatever it is, continue to believe in your limitless potential, because the summit is possible if we keep stepping. I believe that we are all extraordinary and have the capacity to do extraordinary things in our lifetime. Whatever your personal Everest, I wish you strength, purpose, kind weather, and some luck but more importantly, God's blessings. And when you get there, remember to be thankful, reach down and pull someone else up with you. Thank you. So Ilana is going to give away this book.
Wow, what a task. First of all, can we just celebrate you? Sarah, come on! Wow. I have one question, because I've heard you speak so many times, but something fell. I've heard you speak so many times, but this is the first time that I heard the part where you actually got to the top.
Oh, okay.
So I have a question, because there's many of us here that need that kind of motivation, and you spoke so beautifully. What if we're in a situation and we're not really sure what the top of the mountain looks like? What if you just want to give up?
I think for me, first of all, there are many times that I felt like giving up. The knowing that I wasn't just climbing for me made me take that next step. That's why I started with why. Why are you doing what you're doing? A very good example is we both Joburgers, if you still are. If you're going to Pretoria, you're on N1 and there's a big accident. If what you're going to do in Pretoria is so important and time conscious, you'll find another way, N14 or Joburg Road, to get to where you need to go. But if it's not that important, you give up. So it's important to start with knowing why. Why are you in this room? You know, and if you don't know, then maybe you shouldn't be in this room. There's a place out there that's waiting for you. And then just in summary, Lana, the thing that I say, we are all VIPs. We are all, everywhere we are, we need to be visible, we need to be intentional, and we need to be present. If you can't do that, then you're not in the right place.
May you climb many more mountains, and may this beautiful manual that you've created for so many of us, may it return to you many times, so that in your own journey, while you are building libraries and using your talent to better this world, may you remember that you didn't just do it for you, but you did it for all of us. Thank you so much for your kind words. Let's give Sarah another round of applause. Thank you. How about we give away your book? Sarah, you have to be part of this. My journey to the top of the world. Who deserves this book? Why did I see you? I just saw you now. You raised your hand. We have to, can we give it to the gentleman that raised his hand?
Of course. How high is Everest, sir? Yes.
It's yours. I will bring you your book so that you can enjoy. Have you climbed? Oh, no, he hasn't. I don't even know why I asked you that. I'm so sorry. Have you climbed any mountain? Table Mountain. Okay. What's your name? Chris. Chris, may even Table Mountain and every other mountain that you face, may it become easier and significant. And I hope you enjoyed the book. You're welcome. Sure. Sarah, you have just blessed us with the most amazing speech. Let's give her another round of applause. That was beautiful. So ladies and gentlemen, I really enjoy that you have beautiful meals and delicious food and drinks, because shortly we will be starting with our awards. So you can see we're busy opening the doors at the moment, because in the foyer we have the most amazing entertainment. In fact, Carol Thorns, as well as the Coda team, they will be performing on this stage as well as in the foyer. Dinner will be served in that foyer, so you're welcome to rise to the occasion and enjoy dinner. You're welcome to come back to your table. At exactly 9:05, we're going to start with our awards. So you're welcome to move back inside. If you want to smoke outside, you're welcome to do so, as long as you are back in the venue, so that we can commence with the most, or I should say, one of the most important events of the evening. Enjoy dinner. It's now served in the foyer. Thank you.
voel als een fik borders. Ja, ik ga nou slapen. Ik ga nou slapen. Dan is dit is kijk wel eens. Dat is een fotomoment. Nou, dit is hij van Rydall. Dit is hij van Rydall. Zo intens.